Please join me in welcoming Samir Agadi back to Eaglebrook.
It's truly an honor to come back and speak here today. Last time I was behind this podium, I was maybe a foot shorter, had a high-pitched voice. Everyone's wearing pink because I had my sixth form assembly on Valentine's Day. So this is a nice change of scenery. One of my favorite Eaglebrook traditions was home night, and Mr. Edwards, my advisor for 2 years, loved trivia. So I thought to get started and maybe wake you guys up a little bit, I brought some prizes, some Duke tennis merch, and I thought we'd start with some trivia real quick. First question, can anyone name all 4 Grand Slams? That was the first hand. US Open, Australia. Yeah, nice. So a little background about myself. I went to a private Christian day school in Atlanta, and I always felt that my education was kind of missing something. I was really inspired by the whole concept of boarding school. I liked the idea of going to school with kids from all over the world. So my parents found Eaglebrook online, and I did summer semester here, and I had a blast. I learned a lot. I learned how to make cup noodles. I learned how to set up my FIFA formation. But I'm kidding, Mr. Chase. I learned a lot more. But more importantly, I started learning how to be independent. After some convincing with my parents, and after summer semester, my parents sent me here for my 5th form, and that was the start of the 2 best years of my life. But coming to Eaglebrook, I had to make some sacrifices. Tennis was my whole life before. I picked up my first racket when I was 4. I was top 100 in the country. I was sponsored by Adidas, and I had this dream of playing Division I tennis or going pro. But I also had a string of 5 first-round losses right before I came to Eaglebrook. I had this immense pressure on myself, and I had this constant need to succeed on the court all the time. And honestly, I burnt out. So I came to Eaglebrook with an open mind, not knowing what was in store for me. I embarked on this new academic journey, and I didn't know how my athletic journey was going to change. Here I am, wanting to share a few of the lessons that I've learned along the way. One of the first ones is learning that even though I wasn't the best and maybe not even average, I had to learn how to be a good teammate. And some of the things I learned were communication. Learning how important communication is in helping a team work together efficiently. I learned that encouraging teammates and being able to receive constructive feedback builds trust. I learned about accountability. I learned how to take responsibility for my actions on the field, whether it was a mistake or a good play, and holding myself and others to a higher standard. I learned about resilience and support. Picking up a teammate after a tough loss or a bad game teaches us emotional resilience. I learned about how knowing that others on my team had my back would just help me bounce back and be stronger. I learned about leadership and followership. I learned that sometimes you need to lead, but sometimes you need to follow. And I think that's something that a lot of us might struggle with sometimes. And both roles are super crucial for a team's success. I learned about selflessness and a team-first mentality. I grew up playing tennis my whole life. It's a very individual sport. You're on the court by yourself the whole time, and you're only playing for yourself. But I learned that as I joined the soccer team, I was playing for something a little bit bigger. Putting the team's success over my personal stats or my achievements helped build chemistry. I learned that celebrating a team win felt different than celebrating an individual win in a good way. And lastly, I learned about trust. You know, every teammate has different strengths, and learning to adapt and trust each other is extremely key. I learned that understanding different personalities in a team is extremely crucial and important. The next thing I learned was persistence and embracing the process. So after my first semester at Eaglebrook, the winter term was approaching, and I had to sign up for a new sport. I'd never played squash before, but because it was a racket sport, I was immediately drawn to it. For some of the teachers here that might remember, Andreas Conesa and Cristobal Mendoza, who lived across from me in Kravis, were super helpful, and they were kind enough to show me how to play squash, and I loved it. Every free time I had, I would go to the glass courts and just hit rails to myself, or I would watch squash videos on YouTube. I wanted to be persistent because I wanted to give myself the best chance to succeed and try to make varsity if I could. But there were some setbacks. I got super sick 2 weeks before winter break, and I got sent home early. I missed tryouts, and I was just automatically placed on JV. I didn't let that upset me, but I used it as fuel so for when I came back, I could train harder and try to make varsity the next year. For those people that play squash and play tennis, you guys might know about challenge matches. And you have the opportunity to challenge up, or you can get challenged from the person below you, and that's how you determine the ladder. So I came back to school, and my best friend, Shippy, or Davis Chase, helped me and worked on squash drills with me. And I slowly started challenging my way up the ladder. By like halfway through the trimester, I was number 1 on the JV team. So that meant I got to challenge the bottom of the ladder of varsity. And for some of the teachers here that might remember Sam Worcester, I had a grueling 5-set thriller against him, and I somehow won. Thankfully, Mr. Edwards kept both of us on the team, so there were no hard feelings. But what did I learn during that whole time? I learned that success doesn't happen overnight. Whether it be in sports, school, or even my career now, success takes time. Learning how to embrace the process means focusing on daily improvements rather than just the results. I learned how to handle failure and setbacks. Persistence taught me that failure is not just the end, it's just a lesson. Every loss, mistake, or tough moment is an opportunity to grow. I learned a lot about mental toughness. Sports has challenged my ability to push through discomfort and doubt. Never played squash before, and I was extremely uncomfortable in the beginning, but I slowly got very comfortable. Another important thing about mental toughness is having the right mindset. As Mr. Fay can attest, I had a bit of a temper on the court during tennis, but that slowly hopefully died down when I was in college, and I have some proof to show that. Stop breaking my rackets, Mr. Fay. And finally, patience and long-term success. The best athletes and successful people understand that greatness takes time. Trusting the process helped me stay motivated even when the results weren't immediate. Fast forwarding a few years to my college career, I went to Duke just as a normal student, and I was a practice player for 2 years on the Duke tennis team. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be able to play D1 tennis after coming to Eaglebrook. But my experiences at Eaglebrook helped me shape, and I stayed persistent. I embraced the process, and somehow there was an opportunity to walk on the Duke tennis team my junior year. They were holding tryouts for all the practice players, and I stayed disciplined, and I worked hard, and I got it. And some of the things that I learned during my time at Duke has shaped me to who I am today. Consistency always leads to success. In sports, showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, leads to improvement. This applies outside of sports too. When you guys go to class, try to be present as much as you can. I know it's hard, but try to. I learned about how to work smarter and not just harder. Being prepared means training with the purpose, not just going through the motions. For me, at Duke, that meant showing up to practice with the goal of working on something new every day. In life, this type of preparation will help you work more efficiently and make challenges easier to battle. I learned how confidence comes from preparation. When you put in the work, you learn to trust yourself in big moments. Whether it's a tennis match or a test at school or even a secondary school interview, preparation will naturally help you reduce pressure and increase confidence. I learned about self-motivation. No one is watching you 24/7. Discipline means doing the right things when no one's there to push you. I learned how small habits create big results. Success isn't about one big moment, it's about the small daily habits that add up over time. And I learned that in both sports and life, the details matter. Staying disciplined in the little things leads to greatness. So some closing thoughts for you guys. I know you guys are super excited to leave campus and get a good break. But the one thing I would say when you guys come back to campus is, for the spring season, is whether you're a good teammate now, learn how to be a better teammate. Learn how to handle the setbacks and the failures that you might have, whether it be on the field or off the field. Learn how to process pressure, and learn how to be disciplined and prepared. All these things have shaped me into the person that I am today, and I only have Eaglebrook to thank. So my challenge to you guys is, make the most of your time here. Try new things, fail at things, but push yourself. You never know which experience will teach you the lesson that changes your life. Thank you.